Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned last week, but I've been doing all of my Zoom calls with that name on the screen.
Yes,
unbeknownst to me, I had no idea.
And it goes out to our audience like that as well.
See, I believe you are influencing a new generation of children that, pranked that school board meeting with fake names like that. I think it was honor of you, Dick Pinch.
Mm-hmm.
We need more of a pinch of you this morning. We need a lot of
Pinch, Clear Lake, Iowa.
I'm running a school. That's what it is. It's like the School of Rock, but for prank calls and things like that. Yeah.
You and I are single-handedly, we are raising an immature generation of children, and we couldn't be prouder.
Yes, indeed. And I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes.
Bob, we need comedy this morning because this morning's especially horrifying. I mean,
yes,
when
it is horrifying.
What fresh hell do we wake up to? We're like, oh, Roe v. Wade, kind of bye-bye. Voting rights, bye-bye. Both of you compliments of Texas. And then we were saying a fantastic Afghanistan speech, Bob, and just constant lying from the other side that you have to just keep knocking down, right? They're just shameless. Marjorie Taylor Greene and others were out there like, oh, Biden had released the 5,000 prisoners. Now every single thing they say just ends up being a lie. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, the one about the equipment left behind. That's one of the easiest ones to debunk. These are all numbers that are readily available. Glenn Kessler, I think, gave it to two or three Pinocchios yesterday, something like that. I don't know how that scale works.
Yes.
But the thing is, this is $83 million, and that's actually overestimating the amount. It's probably closer to about $80 billion of equipment was given over to the Afghan security forces over the course of the last 20 years. This is not just $80 billion from yesterday. This is $80 billion over 20 years, and that includes training and everything else. It's not just the equipment. The equipment alone was about $24 billion. And all of that equipment was given over to the Afghan security forces, and they just abandoned it when they ditched as soon as the withdrawal began.
Right.
And so this is not something that we just said, "Oh, here, Taliban, you can have all of this." It's not. That's not the way it.
Yes. Well,
it happened at all.
General McKenzie had said before leaving Kabul airborne, the military demilitarized 70 MRAPs, 27 Humvees, 73 aircraft. Those aircraft will never fly again. They'll never be able to be operated by anyone. Demilitarized is a term that means like they blew, up. They blew most of it up. And also beyond that, even anything that's left, they said the Taliban will have very serious problems in operating it. That covers most aircraft and many electronics and heavier weapons. So, as you said, that figures for all the money spent on training and sustaining the Afghan military for 20 years. The equipment portion, as you said, Bob, Glenn Kessler says maybe $24 billion. And the actual value in the Taliban's hands is probably much less than even that amount. So it's one endless game of gotcha because I'm telling you, thank God the New York Times has already interviewed regular people, and they're like, great, yes, we're out of Afghanistan. But that's what they're afraid of, is ultimately Biden's going to get credit for what Trump didn't have the balls to actually do, right?
Oh, yeah. I said it last week. I think that this is going to turn out to be a political positive for Joe Biden in the long run.
Right.
I mean, he can actually say in 2024, what do you like least, the peace or the prosperity? I mean, the old James Carville line. Because we're headed in that direction with the economy, at least, and foreign policy, and that seems to be on track at this point. I mean, other disasters aside, which have nothing to do with Joe Biden, but sure. Yeah.
And by the way, every time Trump talks, Bob, we remember what a complete idiot disaster he was. He called on Biden to get every penny of the U.S. equipment out of the region or bomb the hell out of them. It's just so big and dumb. All equipment should be demanded to be immediately returned to the United States, and that includes every penny of the $85 billion. If it's not handed back, we should either go in with unequivocal military force and get it, or at least bomb the hell out of it.
When I hear him talk like that... This is
nuke into a hurricane stupid, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well, when I hear him talk like that, with all of the bravado and the nonsensical alpha male crap, it just, to me, I envision, I don't know what this says about me, but him just unzipping his pants and showing that little nub of a penis he has. It's just a teeny tiny penis, man. Yeah, because this is small penis and energy is what he's projecting here. Small.
No, not even that. Just like a zip and then a bing. Okay.
Oh. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, that's the perfect noise.
And by the way,
it's such nonsense. What are we? Okay, what we're supposed to do? We're supposed to we're supposed to engage in a nuclear attack against the Taliban,
right?
And kill God knows how many millions and millions of Afghans in the process.
And this attack on us wasn't the Taliban; it was ISIS, who's also the Taliban's enemy. It's a mess, Bob. And can I just say,
of course, it would guarantee dirty bombs going off in every major American city for decades to come. Right. Yes. I mean, that's what that sort of behavior precipitates. Yes. Sure.
Yeah. But I mean, it just, God, just every problem. Trump can think of something bigger and dumber, and less effective, even though he's not president. Yeah, the other thing I was going to say about the whole you negotiate. Now they're saying Biden negotiated with the Taliban when that's obviously what Trump did that got us here, is cutting the Afghan government out of even the negotiations. But I thought this was really interesting because for all their screaming, Bob, I was thinking, how do we get 124,000 people out without the Taliban's cooperation? Well, they did cooperate. Yeah. The U.S. military negotiated a secret arrangement with the Taliban that resulted in members of the militant group escorting clusters of Americans to the gates of Kabul airport as they sought to escape Afghanistan. U.S. Special Ops set up a secret gate at the airport, established call centers to guide Americans through the evacuation process. The officials and Americans were notified to gather at a preset muster point close to the airport, where the Taliban would check credentials and take them a short distance to the gate managed by American forces who were standing by to let them inside. So, this was in the Taliban's interest. They wanted us out. So, it's just stop with this. The end was a disaster. No, it wasn't. We've never gotten 124,000 people out of anywhere.
The thing is amazing to me is we've been at war in Afghanistan for 20 years. And I would estimate that maybe 17 or 18 of those years, you didn't hear anything about Afghanistan.
Right.
And I think part of the problem, part of the misperception about what's going on in Afghanistan right now has to do with whiplash. We didn't hear anything about Afghanistan year after year after year, certainly not from cable news and all of the concern trolls there. And then suddenly, oh my God, major disaster, major crisis. Now Marines are dead and everyone's freaking out as if they're suddenly being reintroduced to the fact that, oh yeah, there was a war in Afghanistan. I forgot. Oh, that's what it's like. That's what the Afghanistan war has been perpetually. Because you go back, in terms of the bombing last week, which was, of course, horrifying. Right. But at the same time, you go back year after year, we had, 17 soldiers and Marines killed in the previous year, 15 before that, 13 before that, 20 before that. This is the ongoing story of Afghanistan. So we shouldn't be surprised by what happened as far as that, especially that first 36 hours in that bombing last week.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, as you said on Twitter, Bob, you said amazing to see commentators of influence who claim to recognize the immense danger of the Trump Republican Party continuing to defend the kind of behavior and ideas that led to Trump's presidency in the first place. Wise up, people. It's happening again, and you're helping it. And that could go for every subject, whether it's Afghanistan or, the big lie or voting rights. I mean, it as you've always said that, Bob, it's not just Trump, it's Trumpism. And, here we go. Yeah. Look at just last night in terms of, abortion rights, voting rights, Kevin McCarthy openly obstructing justice by saying, they will retaliate if telecom companies release phone records. I mean, it's Trumpism on steroids.
Kevin McCarthy's absolutely employing his best Trumpism routine right now with regard to that investigation. And then there's, of course, what's happening in Texas, which is starting what I consider to be the American apartheid. It's a soft secession is what's happening, because if Roe v. Wade goes, and we'll get a hint as to what the Supreme Court is going to say about Roe v. Wade when this particular Texas law comes up, the 6-week abortion ban, which is basically an all-out ban. Most women don't know they're pregnant at 6 weeks. Right. And so
by doing nothing, they already at midnight last night let it go into effect. So,
Well, I mean, if the court says no to this, okay, but the chances are, given the makeup of the Supreme Court, they may just allow this Texas law to go through, maybe with some changes, I don't know. But if that happens and suddenly all of these abortion bans in these various states kick into effect, it's going to be going back to the apartheid thing. Women are not going to be basically permitted to live with sovereignty over their own bodies in all of these particular American states. So they're going to either have to leave or live under some sort of oppressive regime that will not allow them to have body sovereignty.